Hi, third graders. Welcome to Math Review. This is going to be our study guide because we have a test on Friday. So let's see what we have to review. We will review in this video number order, number pattern, rounding, and estimating. Okay, but we also have to review vocabulary because we did learn some new words in this unit. The first word is estimate, and the second one is rounding. Let's see if we can use these two words correctly. A number that is closest to the exact number is called an estimate. And we use rounding to check if my answer is reasonable. So make sure that you know how to use these two terms correctly. All right, let's begin with number order. In number order, you will be given different sets of numbers, and you will be asked to put the numbers in the order from least to greatest. Now, the first thing you have to do is make sure that all your numbers have 4 digits. Maybe some will have only 3 digits, so that makes a big difference. But our numbers, all of them have 4 digits. So let's find the one that's least, okay? And the way we do this is by looking at the first number. And in our case, it's the thousands place value. So the number that's least here is 1,000, and I have another 1,000 here. So I need to look at the number next to it. So let's look at the hundreds, and I have 2 and 3. So that makes 1,244 to be the number that is least. And I'll eliminate that one. And of course, this number will be the second place number. All right, let's eliminate that one out of the game. And now we need to go to another number that is going to get the third place, and that will be the 2,344, right? Because I only have one of those here. And now, of course, I have to decide, let's check that one off. I have to decide between these two. Again, I look at the hundreds place value, still the same. Let's look at the tens place value. All right, this one is less, so I will pick that one to come next. And of course, the greatest number will be 3,151. And that is our number order from least to greatest. Ready to do another number order? Let's look at another one that we have. Let's put this one, but this time we are asked to put them in the order from greatest to least. Very important that you pay attention to that, okay? That it says greatest to least, so you don't put them in the wrong order. Okay, so again, let's look for the one that's the greatest. Looking at the thousands place value again. I have 2 of these here that have the greatest thousands place value, but I know that one of them's gotta be greater. So I look at the hundreds place value, still the same. Let's look at the tens place value, 4 and 5. Which one is greater? This one. So we'll say 3,151 is the greatest number. And of course, this one will be the second one. Okay, always eliminate the ones that you already used. So let's check that one off. And now we need to decide for the next one, right? And the next one will be 2,344. And let's eliminate that one. And now we have these two. We need to decide which one of these will be the next one. And I know that this one is bigger than this number. So I know it's going to be 1,334 because the hundreds place value is 3, and here the hundreds place value is 2. So my choice is 1,334, and the number that is the least is 1,244. And yeah, this is how you do your order. Now, I think you are ready to do your number pattern. We continue playing with numbers, but this time we need to find a missing number in the pattern. The way we do this, we look at the numbers closely and we have to study them a little bit. And we need to see what is repeating, okay? Now, I can see that the thousands place value here, 1,144 and 1,244, they have the same thousands place value, but what's changing is the hundreds place value. Number 1 is suddenly changing to number 2. And as you can see, these two tens and ones are the same. So my pattern here, what's happening is that hundreds place value is changing, and it's changing by going up. So the next number that I would put here would be 1,344. Again, but see, I did not change the thousands place value. I didn't change the tens and ones. I only changed the hundreds place value. All right, and this is going to be the next number. And now I have to still solve the last one missing. And I'm still going up, right? The pattern is not going to change. And again, just changing the hundreds place value from 4 to 5. Way to go. Now let's look at this one. Again, you always look at the numbers that are next to each other. So here we have 5,654 and 5,644. Okay, I see here that what's changing is the tens place value. And the way it's changing that the numbers are going down from 5 to 4. So here we have numbers going down in the tens place value. All right, so we are going to put here number 5,634, 5,624, and then the last one that's missing will be 5,614. Very good. And what I really highly recommend is that you read these numbers to yourself loud. So after you're done with your exercise, don't just move on to the next one. Double check your work. Read those numbers to yourself loud, hear it, and see if it sounds good to you. And then you can submit it. Alrighty, I think we're ready to go to rounding. Now for rounding, this is what we learned that we need to follow these steps. We learned that we first find the digit that your teacher wants you to round the number to. And then we also learned that you need to look at the number next to it. And then you say yourself your poem. And the poem is 5 or more, add 1 more, 4 or less, let it rest. So these are the steps that you must follow. Let's see if we can put them into practice. Let's look at this first example. We have to round the number 4,564 to the nearest 10. Okay, very important that you pay attention to what is Miss asking you to round it to. Is it to the nearest 10 or to the nearest 100? Okay, that makes a big difference. Now, the first thing it says that we need to do is find the digit. Find the digit that your teacher wants you to round it to the nearest 10. So that means we are going to underline the digit that's in a tens place value, and that is number 6 in our case. Now, the next thing you have to do, it says look next door. So let's look next door. And the way we do it, we circle that, right? So it looks like an eye looking at the number. And now the number we're looking at is number 4, because this number will tell us what to do with the number we underlined. So we're going to say the poem. And the poem is 5 or more, add 1 more. 4 or less, let it rest. So it's telling me to let it rest. So I'm not going to do anything to number 6. I'm simply just going to copy the number 6 and change the last number to 0. Okay, we have to have only 1 0 at the end because we are rounding to the nearest 10. 4 becomes 0. That's rounding, right? Rounding. That's why you have to have 0 at the end. Now let's look at another example. This time, this is rounding to the nearest 100. Again, let's look what we have to do. Find a digit. In this case, we need to round to the nearest 100. So we will look at the hundreds place value. So let's underline the hundreds place value. And the next thing it says to look next door. So first you found your hundreds place value because that's where your teacher wants you to round it to the nearest 100. And now let's look at the next door. When we look, we circle the number. And this number now will tell us what to do. And we will say the poem. 5 or more, add 1 more. 4 or less, let it rest. So it's 5 or more, right? So it says to add 1 more. So that means I'm going to change the 5 to 6. And of course, at the end, we will put 2 zeros. So it's important that you pay attention that if it's to the nearest 10, you should only have 1 0 at the end. And if it's nearest 100, you should have 2 zeros at the end. When we round numbers, we can also use number line. It's a great strategy. So the first thing you do if you have to round number 1,640 to the nearest 100, what you do is you first ask yourself, what two hundredths is number 1,640 between? Now, what I do is I circle the number that Miss is asking me to tell her. So in my number, the hundredths place value is number 6. So I can say the 200s that number 1,640 is between is 1,600 and 1,700. These are the two numbers. This number is between. Now, the next thing you have to ask yourself when you're using number line to round numbers is what number is halfway between 1,600 and 1,700? The number that's between these two numbers is 1,650. Now we can find the place where we're going to put the 1,640 on the number line. Now we can place it on the number line, and it's going to be right here. Okay, now that I solved this on the number line, I took all these steps and did them correctly, I can tell that 1,640 is closer to 1,600. Therefore, I can say that 1,640 is about 1,600. This is how you round numbers using number line. Now, estimate the sum. Here we have steps that we need to follow too. First, what we do is we need to get the actual sum. So let's add this number. 7 plus 7 is 14. 1 goes on top. 1 plus 5 and 3 is 9. And 2 plus 4 is 6. You see? Addition. Just simply do your addition. This is actual sum. Now what we need to do is 257 needs to be rounded to the nearest 100. So let's round 257 to nearest 100. And that is 300. And then 437 rounded to the nearest 100 will be 400. And now what we do is we simply do estimated sum. So 300 plus 400 is 700. And we can look at these numbers now and say that the answer is reasonable because 694 is close to 700. And these are the steps you take to estimate the sum. And this is how you can tell if the answer is reasonable. We were rounding the numbers and able to make that conclusion. Okay, now estimating the difference, again, the same steps we follow. Let's do our subtraction first. 7 minus 3 is 4. 9 minus 4 is 5. 8 minus 2 is 6. Great, this is my actual difference. Now I need to round these numbers to the nearest 100. 897 to the nearest 100 would be 900. 243 rounded to the nearest 100 is 200. And 900 minus 200 will give me the estimated difference, and that is 700. Again, I look at these two numbers that I received, actual difference and estimated difference. I can see that they are close to each other, so I can state that the answer is reasonable. Way to go, everyone. Well, if you have any questions after this review, just go ahead and reach out to your teacher. Your teacher will be more than happy to answer your questions. I'm wishing you all the best in your test on Friday. We believe in you. And don't forget, God says that, let's read that together. Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. All right, you guys can do this. We believe in you. Wish you all the best. Bye, everyone.